What happens when a Hollywood star, known for his humility and depth, clashes with a host who knows no boundaries in her provocations? This moment on The View with Keanu Reeves and Joy Behar became a television legend, sparking a storm of emotions in the studio and millions of views on social media. No one was prepared for what happened next. The View studio buzzed with anticipation. Bright spotlights bathed the stage in warm light, and the live audience chattered excitedly, holding signs that read, "We love Keanu!" and "John Wick is back!" Cameras hummed, operators checked angles, and producers in headsets exchanged frantic instructions. Today's guest, Keanu Reeves, was there to promote his new film, the fourth installment of John Wick. His entrance triggered a wave of applause. A man with long dark hair, dressed in a simple black jacket and jeans, smiled modestly and waved to the crowd. Keanu took a seat across from the hosts, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Haynes, and Sunny Hostin. The atmosphere was warm, almost festive. Joy, known for her sharp tongue, opened the show with her characteristic grin. "Keanu, you know you're America's sweetheart? Or maybe the world's by now," she said with a wink, eliciting laughter from the audience. Keanu, as always, responded with restraint. "Thanks, Joy. I'm just happy to be here and share my new project." But there was a glint in her eyes that fans of The View recognized instantly. Joy Behar was gearing up for an attack. The interview started innocently enough. Sunny Hostin asked about the filming of John Wick 4, and Keanu enthusiastically described the complexity of the stunts and his love for the action genre. The audience listened, rapt, as he recounted performing most of his own stunts. Whoopi Goldberg tossed in a light-hearted joke about how Keanu never seems to age, prompting laughter and applause. But Joy, who had been silent, suddenly leaned forward, holding a sheet of notes. "Keanu," she began with a barely concealed smirk, "you always play these lone wolf heroes. John Wick, Neo from The Matrix. People call you the lone wolf of Hollywood. But don't you think that's a bit, how should I say, hypocritical?" The studio fell silent. Keanu's smile faded slightly, but he remained composed. "Hypocritical?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "Care to explain?" Joy straightened her shoulders, as if preparing for battle. "Well, you present yourself as this humble, spiritual guy. All these stories about you riding the subway, donating money, helping the homeless. But then you star in films where violence is the core. Beating people up, shooting. It doesn't exactly align with the good guy Keanu image, does it?" The audience gasped. Sarah Haynes let out a nervous laugh, trying to defuse the tension. "Joy, come on, Keanu's just playing roles. It's art." But Joy pressed on, her voice sharpening. "I'm just saying, people see you as a hero, but are you hiding something behind that mask? Maybe you just love the fame, and the kindness is all for PR?" The click of Keanu's microphone as he looked away echoed through the studio. His fingers tightened slightly on the armrests, but he still held his composure. "I don't think it's hypocritical," he said quietly but firmly. "My roles are stories I tell as an actor. How I live my life, that's my principles. I try to be honest with myself and others." Whoopi Goldberg tried to intervene. "Okay, Joy, let's not." But Joy cut her off, raising a hand. "No, Whoopi, I want to hear an answer. Keanu, you realize people see the inconsistency? You can't be both a saint and play a killer." The atmosphere in the studio grew noticeably heavier. Operators, sensing the tension, quickly shifted cameras between Keanu, Joy, and the audience, where a few people had already pulled out their phones to record. Producers backstage exchanged nervous glances, one whispering into a headset, "This could go viral, or be a disaster." Keanu took a deep breath, his dark eyes locking onto Joy's. "Joy," he said, his voice calm but with a hint of steel, "I don't claim to be a saint. I'm just a person doing my job. But if you think my actions off-screen are for PR, then maybe you don't know me very well." The audience erupted in applause, but Joy didn't back down. She leaned closer, her smile almost predatory. "Oh, I know what you do, Keanu. All these stories about giving away your paychecks, sitting on benches with the homeless. It's to make people love you, isn't it? You don't just do it for nothing, right? The silence in the studio was deafening. Sunny Hostin covered her mouth, and Sarah Haynes stared at Joy in undisguised shock. Even Whoopi, usually adept at defusing situations, looked lost. Keanu, however, didn't look away. His voice, when he spoke, trembled with restrained emotion. Joy, I do what I think is right because I believe in kindness. Not for cameras, not for fame. And what you're doing right now, that's not journalism. It's just trying to tear someone down for ratings. The audience roared. Someone shouted, Yes, Keanu! Others whispered to each other, and several recorded the moment on their phones. Joy, however, didn't lose her composure. She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. Oh, so you think I'm just chasing ratings? She said sarcastically. Then tell me, Keanu, why do you never talk about your personal struggles? Why do you hide behind this good guy image? Maybe you've got something to hide? Those words hit like a slap. The camera zoomed in on Keanu's face, and for a moment, a flicker of vulnerability, a shadow of pain he so carefully kept from the world, flashed in his eyes. The View studio was on the brink of chaos. After Joy Behar's provocative accusation that Keanu Reeves might be hiding something behind his good guy image, the tension reached a boiling point. Cameras hummed, operators frantically captured every moment, and the audience sat frozen, holding their breath. Producers backstage whispered into headsets, Keep a close-up on Keanu! Sunny Hostin nervously clutched the arms of her chair. Sarah Haynes looked at Joy with a mix of shock and disapproval, and Whoopi Goldberg searched for a way to defuse the situation. But the moment that would go down in television history was already inevitable. Keanu sat motionless, but his eyes, usually calm and pensive, now burned with quiet anger. His fingers tightened on the armrests, knuckles widening. He took a slow breath, as if gathering all his inner strength to respond. The audience waited in silence, hanging on his next words. Even the click of a microphone felt deafening in the stillness. Joy, Keanu began, his voice low and measured but vibrating with restrained emotion. I'm not hiding. I'm not playing games for fame. I live my life the way I think is right. And if you think you can sit here and accuse me of being insincere, maybe you should look in the mirror. The studio erupted in applause. A few people stood, shouting words of support. But Joy didn't back down. Her smile sharpened, her eyes narrowing. She leaned forward, clutching her notes as if they were a shield. Oh, Keanu, don't get so dramatic, she said with cutting sarcasm. You know people love a tragic hero story. But let's be honest. You dodge tough questions. Why do you never talk about your personal life? Your losses, your pain? You're not a robot, are you? Or maybe you're afraid to show you're not so perfect? Those words struck like a blow below the belt. The audience gasped, some covering their mouths. Everyone knew about the tragedies in Keanu's life, his losses, his struggles with grief. But he had always kept them in the shadows, away from the cameras. For Joy to bring this up wasn't just provocation. It was an invasion of his most private pain. Sarah Haynes tried to intervene. Joy, maybe that's enough? Let's get back to the movie. Her voice trembled with discomfort, but Joy waved her off, eyes fixed on Keanu. Whoopi Goldberg, who had been silent, finally spoke. Okay, let's all calm down. Keanu, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Her tone was gentle but tense. She shot a quick glance at Joy, almost pleading with her to stop. But Keanu wasn't listening anymore. His face, usually serene, was now taut, and a flicker of pain crossed his eyes, caught in close-up by the cameras. He slowly stood from his chair, and the movement silenced the entire studio. Even the operators froze, unsure where to point their cameras. Joy, Keanu said, his voice quiet but piercing. You want to know why I don't talk about my pain? Because it's mine. Not yours. Not the cameras. Not your show's ratings. He paused, and the weight of a lifetime hung in that silence. I've lost people I loved. I know what it's like to be at rock bottom. But I don't use that to entertain an audience. And I won't let you use my losses to turn this into a circus. The studio exploded with applause. Some in the audience were crying, others shouting support. A woman in the front row held her phone, hands trembling as she recorded every moment. Backstage, producers were in a panic. One exclaimed into a headset, "This is either genius or we're all getting fired." Joy, for the first time, looked shaken. Her smile vanished, and she tried to regain control. "Keanu, I didn't mean. I'm just saying people want to know the real you." But Keanu wasn't listening. He turned to the audience, his gaze direct and open. "I'm not perfect. I'm just a person trying to do good in this world. And if you," he gestured to the crowd, "see something good in me, it's because I believe kindness is what connects us all. Not fame, not money, not accusations. Kindness." He turned back to Joy, his voice softer but even more piercing. "And if you think you can tear someone down to boost your ratings, that's not strength. That's weakness." With those words, Keanu removed his microphone, placed it on the table, and walked off the stage. The sound of his boots clicking on the studio floor was the only noise in the stunned silence. The door closed behind him, and only then did the audience erupt in a mix of applause, gasps, and cheers. Joy sat stunned, her face pale. Whoopi Goldberg quickly took over, trying to salvage the situation. "Okay, we'll be right back after the break." Her voice wavered, her eyes darting between Joy and Keanu's empty chair. Sarah Haynes whispered something to Sunny, who shook her head, visibly shocked. The audience buzzed, people exchanging looks and posting videos to social media. Backstage, security tried to calm the frantic producers, who already sensed this moment would go viral. Clips of Keanu's speech spread online before the show even ended. The hashtag Keanu Walks Out trended #1, and snippets of his words were quoted everywhere, from Twitter to TikTok. Opinions were divided. Some condemned Joy for cruelty, others thought Keanu overreacted. But one thing was clear: this moment had made television history. The next day, the media was ablaze with discussion. Some outlets called Keanu the voice of humanity, while others criticized Joy for crossing personal boundaries. Joy later posted a tweet. "Sometimes the truth makes people uncomfortable. I'm just doing my job." But even her supporters admitted she'd gone too far. Keanu, as usual, stayed silent. His only statement was a brief Instagram post. "Thank you all for the support. Keep being kind to each other." The post garnered millions of likes and comments. This conflict left questions that still spark debate. Did Keanu do the right thing by walking out? Did Joy have the right to probe into his personal life? And most importantly, where is the line between journalism and humiliation? What do you think about this moment? Who was right? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated on stories like this.